forward by it, but this is the reality. You're going to have to get good at surfing these waves, because those who won't will fall into the trough. Because your future looks like this: thousands upon thousands of waves driven by technology. You are all growing up in a professional era that is unlike any era in the history of humanity. This is your world. It is awesome if you like change. And most of you do, right? Most of you propel change now. It's only the older generations in our culture that are really freaked out about change right now. Most of your culture promotes change, even demands change. You are the ones propelling change. So this is Moore's Law. If you don't know Moore's Law, you should get to know it, because it's the facts behind everything I'm saying. Some of the stuff I'm saying might sound fantastical, but it's not. It's fact. Moore's Law is a great example of what has happened to technology over time. We're not going to talk about the past. You should go back and read it. But this is Moore's Law, and how accurately Moore's Law predicted the rate of change of technology. Moore's Law ultimately says that the amount of information on a chip will double in 13 months, or the price will fall by half. As a result, it leads to incredible changes in technology. So let's look at some of those changes. In 2015, we were able to put the entire computing power of a mouse on a single computer chip. I mean, that's awesome. That's incredible. By 2023, we're going to be able to put the computing power of an entire human brain on a single chip. And that's a lot of change, right? That's got to be powerful. Look what happens by 2045. By 2045, we put the computing power of every brain in humanity, of every brain on Earth, on a single chip. On a single chip, we'll have the computing power of every brain on Earth. That's the beginning of what people call the singularity. And it's going to happen in your life. It's 25 years from now, right? Don't believe me. Believe this curve. This curve also reflects what happened to corporate America. Before 2009, change was happening slow. In America, corporate America does well in those environments. And when there's a delta between learning and change, corporate America is awesome at filling that delta. But after 2009, things started moving faster, and change started moving at a rate where you can't possibly learn what was created new yesterday. And in that environment, the leap and stretch and reach environment, that's where the entrepreneur suddenly becomes very powerful. That's why business schools around the country are starting entrepreneurial programs. That's why everyone's talking about the entrepreneurial journey. Because the rate of change has picked up so fast, entrepreneurs are the best ones to surf those waves of change. So this is a wave. There's three parts to a wave. This is where the entrepreneur lives, right here, inside of innovation, right? This is where we create, right? This little space of chaotic water, not this water, you can't surf this water. You can surf this water. The entrepreneur can get in this water and survive, okay? In here is where things are created. They're created here, and then they're pushed back to the backside where corporate America iterates them. So this is the iterative side, much like the mountain we talked about. It's the same analogy. And finally, we have the trough. So what's happening now with technology and the waves? They're getting bigger and faster and higher, and the trough is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Right? So we have to be aware, while there's tremendous opportunity available for the entrepreneur right now, there's also tremendous difficulties for the rest of the population. We have a lot of our population that was lifted by technology, and a lot of the population that was dropped by technology. We saw that in our last election. There are people who are earning $70, $100,000 in manufacturing jobs. Technology came, all those jobs disappeared. They weren't able to retool, and they ended up falling off the back of the wave into the trough. So as we go forward with these massive technological waves that are coming, while there's incredible opportunity, man, there's incredible risk. That's not good. Let's do this. Cool. Can you go forward one?
Just click on the screen.
Ah, cool. So, let us do a little summary here. There are 3 spots on the mountain, right? There's the entrepreneurial journey on the right-hand side, which is steep and has obstacles. There's the corporate America journey on the left-hand side, and then we have horizontal climbing here on the bottom. The ingredients necessary for our journey is capital, which thanks man. We're not going to worry about capital today, so click it again. Our most important ingredient right now is network. Why I sent Mark around the world, him building his network. You have to have a network. It's from your network that you will build whatever you build. And then next, you got to have the knowledge. That's what you're doing here. That's what my friend Mark is doing around the world, acquiring the knowledge he needs for his journey. But you got to know who you are. And you got to be doing this in tandem. You can't wait till later in your life. You can't wait until you're a successful entrepreneur to start working on yourself, to start figuring out who you are. You have to have those skills early. Because at the end of the day, this is the quality we're looking for in entrepreneurs. The ability to be calm, curious, creative, compassionate. If you're going to lead 50, 100, 2,000 men and women, you have to know who you are. You have to have those qualities. We're going to stop here. I'm going to do a bit of questions. Before, I want you to know that I love talking about entrepreneurship. I can talk all day. I know you guys have been here all day. But if anyone of you want to talk about your personal journey, I'll personally make myself available. I really, really enjoy it. Whether it's the journey of an entrepreneur or a journey of a corporate America, if I can help in any way, I would love to help. Also, Tech Mountain has a number of internships available. 58% of our population, of our community, is a UNC graduate. So all your people, all your friends are there at Castle Branch and Tech Mountain. So I encourage you to come and join and come visit our corporation and see who we are and what we're doing. So, do we have any questions here?
If anyone have any questions, raise your hand.
Thanks.
Would you say that female entrepreneurs show any qualities other than male entrepreneurs?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think female entrepreneurs certainly, I think naturally come with, I think some female entrepreneurs, certainly younger female entrepreneurs, might show up with a greater sense of self. It often takes men a little longer in life to figure out who they are. And the women in the room are going, yeah, man, you're not kidding. This is the truth, right? So yeah, I do think women entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of studies about women entrepreneurs actually holding and containing that idea of calm, of creativity, of compassion. Those are attributes that I think the female population has in stronger ways.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What would you say was your biggest struggle starting out as an entrepreneur?
My biggest struggle was getting used to being off the path. I mean, really getting used to going out and living on the edge and really realizing that's where I had to be to discover what was new. And getting used to being lonely. It's a lonely journey, there's no question.
Thank you.
So earlier you mentioned about how corporate America is not ready for some of the innovations, some of the creations that entrepreneurs come up with. So how do you see that as like obstacle for entrepreneurs when they're trying to bring something really revolutionary to the marketplace?
So a great example is Facebook. Who uses Facebook? Okay, please stop. Okay, everyone put your hand up, please stop, it's dead, okay? There's a reason why Facebook is doing what Facebook does, right? They've realized they're no longer entrepreneurial. They were when they started, but they're no longer entrepreneurial. So what they're doing now is they're looking to other younger entrepreneurs who started small companies and they're acquiring their companies. So it's quite the opposite. The big guys need you guys. The big guys need the creative thinkers to be doing the creative thinking, to be creating the creative projects, and then they generally step in and acquire. Remember, we create, they iterate. It's not a bad thing, man. It's like being part of a team. You know, our job is to create, and their job is to iterate. So I think the environment works for the entrepreneur today. I think they need more of us, and there's only 1% of us. There's a limited amount of entrepreneurs in this world, and they're being hunted a little. They're in more demand than they ever have been.
What about how it relates to like government laws and ethical debates?
Well, I think, are you asking what's going to happen when the changes we make affect the world we live in? Is that where you're going?
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's hard. So, the number one job in the world is livery, right? Livery means driving a car. We're about to make our cars drive themselves. 20 million people drive cars for a living. What are we going to do with 20 million people who are unemployed? Our system has never dealt with problems like this, not in this magnitude. When the tractor came around, 20 million people didn't go out of work the next day. But that's going to start happening in our system. So we understand as entrepreneurs that we're creating change. There's another group that has to be equally focused on how do we manage this change in our community. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome, man. Yeah.
So for a lot of people who end up in these negative waters after a failure, not after doing the K, but what would be the advice to get back to this state of creativity? What are the techniques or visions?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So the idea is, if you fall into the negative, you fall into the dark, how do you get the hell out? How do you get up, right? And the point of creating a map is to understand that you're not in center. So when you do fall out of center, it's not about punishing yourself for failing. It's about how quickly can you get back to that safe space, right? Mm-hmm. So that means being part of a group, having friends, having a group of people who can help support you. You as an entrepreneur have to create a world where you can move from the dark and get back to the light, because no one's going to help you. I mean, in your own office, if you show up to work 5 days in a row depressed, they're going to send you to see the company shrink. As an entrepreneur, no one cares. If you show up depressed, they're like, hey man, you got to pay the bills, right? So you are responsible to put your own system together so you can get back to that yellow zone, because you can't create from the black. You can't create from the over-optimistic. It's just not a place of creativity.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Being a young student, what is the best way to learn how to surf the life? So what are the techniques and what to do, how to be more skilled surfer?
Yeah, you have to build a process that works for you, right? You have to say, okay, how am I going to get to know myself? What are the important parts of yourself? I mean, going to school and being together and actually working, you're already learning. I mean, what year are you? Freshman. Awesome. So you've been here for how long?
This is my second semester.
Second semester. How many months have you been to college? 8 months. Right. And before that, you were in high school, I imagine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much has your life changed in 8 months from today to 8 months ago? Are you the same person? Has this changed you immeasurably, this experience?
Dramatically different.
Say that louder.
Dramatically different.
One more time.
Dramatically different.
That's the point. You put yourself in a situation that changed you dramatically. That's how you change. Find places that change you. That'll be different for all of us, but you found one and it changed you. You can find another, right? So you'll look for those experiences. Each experience will be different, but you have to put yourself in that environment.
So being an entrepreneur, you're obviously passionate about what the business that you started. How do you create the employees that share that passion with you?
Yeah, that's so important. So it's one thing to be self-led, but at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, I don't want to turn into corporate America. So I walk on this sort of knife's edge of how do we remain entrepreneurial and still compete with and beat corporate America. Let's be honest, we are corporate America. As it relates to identity, we are the largest single supplier of identity to healthcare in the world. So yeah, we're partially corporate America. But we say we are a corporate America with the heart of a 25-year-old startup. And we really, really focus on that. Finding people who share your passion and building products that are meaningful. We're really building products that we believe are going to help the millennial population and all of us move forward with our need to be able to manage and carry our identity mobily. We need to be able to move. You guys don't want to stay in one job the rest of your lives. You want to move around as often as you can. You want identity to go with you. How many people have multiple identities here? Put your hands up, quick. Okay, good. Some of you are honest, the rest of you are lying. Okay? Most people already in this world have so many different identities. We have different identities on different sites and different worlds online. Identity today should support all that. It doesn't, because identity was built by banking, and banking built identity because they wanted their money back. So we're recreating identity for a modern world, digital sovereign identity. And people who like doing that usually like working for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whenever you come up with like an idea, like a patent or software development, what is your first step in order to acquire that and build it into something instead of just giving the idea to somebody else who can actually build that? If you don't have the tools and the money, where do you go in order to create that idea to make something better?
Yeah, it used to be when entrepreneurship was about creating things. Like entrepreneurship used to be like, hey man, I made a new toaster, I made a new thing, right? Entrepreneurship really isn't that. We create processes more than things nowadays. So it used to be when you thought of something, you patented it, and then you took that patent and someone would execute the patent. Those days of entrepreneurship are kind of gone. When you think of something, you better be able to lift it up yourself, create it yourself. Otherwise, it's probably not going anywhere. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have an awesome day.